Nothing nasty about it at all as we say hello to this beautiful hour ahead of us. KRFF 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo, 701-478-4959. Welcome. It's a beautiful day, I'd say, outside. Of course, it's always 420 degrees in here. I'm dressed appropriately. It's Wilson, Canna Talk ND with Wilson. What's that you say as you fell into this? It's the best show you're ever going to listen to between 4 and 5. And at 4:20, I give you a fresh bag of cannabis news. That's right, we're going to discuss that. 4:20, up till then, we're going to do all the necessary, important stuff. RadioFreeFargo.org. Go there, donate. You can listen to this later. Canna Talk ND on YouTube. We'll strip the music and then give this to you tomorrow around 5 o'clock. And that's how we do it. Next Thursday's Thanksgiving. I'm going to be here. I'm going to wear a turkey costume. You betcha I will. I'm going to have drumsticks with. Okay, none of that's true except for me. I'm going to be here Thursday because I'm a loser and you're my only friends. Okay, well, let's move on. Now, YMCA of Cass and Clay counties, as part of their to-go meal program, suppers are distributed to-go style free of charge to kids 18 years and younger at 6 area locations. Each child may receive one to-go meal bag per week, which includes 5 suppers. View distribution details at http://ymca.community./community./youth food programs. Meals are provided in partnership with the state of North Dakota and the USDA. The USDA is an equal opportunity provider, and anytime I can tell anybody about free food, you best believe I'm going to do that. So YMCA kicking down food for your kids up to 18. So, in these quote-unquote times, people like to say that. I just like to say, whenever you can get a leg up, get a leg up. Because if you don't, you get in your head. And the mobile mental health crisis response number is 1-800-233-4512. The New Life Center helps people who are homeless and hurting go from merely surviving to truly thriving. Their aim is to help people in need discover value and find hope. The New Life Center has evolved into a multifaceted emergency and crisis service center. To learn more about NLC, visit their website at www.fargonlc.org or give them a call at 701-235-4453. And I can tell you firsthand that to eat the meals that they kick down free, you're going to have to blow into the dealie. Alcohol free, like you're going to have to blow in the blower. And because the door won't open if you blow hot. Again, I know that firsthand. So anyway, Canna Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis here. We talk about cannabis in a positive light. We talk about legalization happening, efforts happening here first, and then we spread out. Or I like to go out far and then pull in close. Meanwhile, it's your boy Wilson. We're here, and we're going to do it. So anyway, we're right up at our first musical break. Seems like it just happened, but it's Lunatic Fringe, Red Rider. This thing sets up for like 30-some seconds. So again, Canna Talk ND with your boy Wilson, 420. Isn't that cool? All right, I'll let you listen to it. See you in 4 minutes, 9 seconds. Man, Lunatic Fringe, Red Rider. It's a classic 1981. That's exciting. RadioFreeFargo.org. Stream it. Get on your dial 95.9. I also forgot to say that between noon and 3, we got Side Stage with Trav every stinking Thursday, just like me. Canna Talk ND with Wilson from 4 to 5. I give you a fresh bag of cannabis news at 4:20. I curate a week's pass of the news, and I'm not going to lie, there isn't a whole lot to talk about, but there is. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to have to embellish about 6 minutes. Because, why would I do that? I want you to know that I've got everything you possibly need here at Radio Free Fargo, Canna Talk ND with Wilson, Canna Talk ND on the YouTubes, ND for Freedom on Facebook, Canna Heads on Canna Talk ND. That's Pilco the Tech Man's baby. Check that out if you'd like. And here we are. It's kind of a gloomy day here in Fargo, but it's always 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately. And I hope everybody else is ready for this thing, too. So let's see. I'm wearing my Measure 3 gear. Remember that? 2018, November 6th. I switched my old phone to my new phone, and that's when Google Drive likes to regurgitate, all these old pictures from who knows. And I got to looking at it. I was pretty immersed in the Measure 3. I didn't realize I was a walking billboard for legalization. And anybody that's followed Measure 3 knew that too. And it's just interesting because we're in this weird embroiled political thing. Like, did they, funny the numbers, Was there some manipulation? You want to believe that everybody's honest. Nobody would ever manipulate anything. No, not when power and stuff's involved. But, I'm going to be 46 next year, and I wasn't born yesterday. Although I was up for a whole summer in 3 days one time. I digress. My point is I got to thinking about Measure 3, and everybody was, zealous about getting it passed. And I remember I went to the courthouse and did an early, ballot deal. And apparently they knew how many early ballots, and you just went to the courthouse. Here I went downtown. And they said that there was over 100,000 early ballots. Had never been cast like that before. And I never, ever seen it applied to the percentages of Measure 3 for legalization of cannabis back in 2018. And I always wondered about it because everybody talked about it, how many signatures people had gotten in the vote-in ballot, and it was mostly all pro-cannabis people. They just wanted to hurry up and get it done. But then I bring it up, they're like, well, don't be a baby, you lost. But it's like, well, what did happen to those 178,000 early ballots that, and some people told me, well, if the margin's too wide, they don't count them. I don't know, but it seems weird to me, and I just would share that with you guys. And we're up to our final musical break before the big old fat bag of cannabis gets dropped on your head. And I mean news. Oops, my own phrase. I messed it up. But anyway, it's kind of, I got Blind Boys Alabama up, and I love those guys, and they got brand new music. And it's interesting to me how, like, I don't know, it's a gospel tune, but it's this blind guy's biography, basically, this song, Almost Home. And we're going to get at it right now, and I'm going to see you in 9 minutes. We'll do Canna Talk ND with Wilson. Freak like me, Paul Cawthon. Well, start that off was Almost Home, the Blind Boys Alabama, off their Almost Home brand new album. Those guys have got to be, man, in the 80s. That song, stripped down piano, just four dudes behind them. And, it couldn't have been a fuller, what's that moisture in my eyes kind of song. It's really a good song. And I am Canna Talk ND with Wilson right on the other side of this intro. We are cruising right along. It's almost like I'm doing this on purpose. Let's do it. I'll see you on the other side of this. We'll do it. Canna Talk ND, Radio Free Fargo, 95.9er.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna Talk ND. The super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
Our spliff of the day is the best one. If you got your medical card, you know what I'm saying. If you don't, then you better not. Unless you're in a state where, because I'm here to change the law, not break the law. Canna Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, 4 o'clock. I kick it off, and then at 4:20 I give you a fresh bag of cannabis news, and that's where we've waded into currently. It's 4:20, and it's 420 degrees in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately. I hope you guys are as well. And we're going to get into some news. And like I said, 80% of this is going to be true. It's a slow week for cannabis because, man, how can you compare to 2 Thursdays ago post-election when cannabis swept the world? Well, the nation, So I've got a few things to just kind of, talk about, just kind of casual. Like, I'm not going to preface when I start to lie, but I will tell you that there might, I might have to embellish. However, Fargo's the best town to live in, and I live here. So, come on, move over here. Come on, move into my apartment building. Hey, but say Wilson referred you, then I get $75. Okay, Radio Free Fargo, 95.9, radiofreefargo.org. Go there and donate. Canna Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. Again, Canna Talk ND, it'll be YouTube tomorrow. And I'm going to fill up the next 25 minutes or so of cannabis-related news in a positive light. Even if it's bad, I'll spin it, but there isn't nothing really bad. It's just there's not a whole lot to talk about. However, I'm still going to be able to do it pretty easily. I've got 5 different pages, which I can kind of rip on, But I did want to say, next Thursday is Thanksgiving, and I'm sure I'll be here because I got a daughter in Dickinson. She's got a new dude, so I don't know what they're going to do. But it's probably not going to be with me, which... I was here last Thanksgiving on Thursday, had a buddy in here. So, I'm just trying to come up with something that wouldn't be just normal, and I haven't had guests in a while, which I feel like I'm getting in the pocket for doing it solo. When we were pushing the measure, I had to have people in here, because we were specifically pushing it. I mean, I'm wearing my Measure 3 hoodie. I didn't wear that for the first year or two because we were pushing a different measure, but now I can wear what I want, because I wanted to be I wanted to represent exactly what I wanted you to get into, and that was that particular measure. As far as I know, nothing's really cooking, but as soon as there is, I will let you know here on Canna Talk ND with Wilson, because that's what I do. But the first article I'm going to talk about, I was going to say, so then after Thanksgiving, it looks like I'm going to have somebody in here who lives in the area and had a CBD plant kerfluffle. So that's interesting, and I know that you're going to want to listen to that. So next Thursday is Turkey Day. I'll be here, so, but if you have to go do family stuff, well, I would suggest that you bring it with and just turn it on right by Grandpa. But that's just me, and then after that, it looks like we're going to have what's this, your CBD is, above the limit, and then what happens, I'm interested to find that out, and I know you guys are too, and so 2 Thursdays, get on over here, 420. We'll talk about it. But anyway, North Carolina Task Force calls for decrim of marijuana. Raleigh, North Carolina. A North Carolina Racial Equity Task Force is recommending the decrim of marijuana possession. And I don't know if there's been a Racial Equity Task Force always. I don't know if that's a new thing they created. I'm thinking like it's always been around. Whether they're scratching their heads, how can we be less racist? I don't know. It's crazy to me. But anyway, they've recommended decrimming of marijuana because apparently these geniuses have decided that there is racial disparity when it comes to. So here we go. I got some stats for you. White and black North Carolinians use marijuana at similar rates, okay? Yet black people are disproportionately arrested and sentenced. Additionally, it is time for North Carolina to start having a real conversation. This is ABC 11 I'm reading this from. It is time for North Carolina to start having real conversations about a safe, measured public health approach to potentially legalizing marijuana. And even the most hesitant of people, Attorney General, he said that as nicely and politically as he could, and they're, certainly don't have it legal, So anyway, Justice Anita Earls, who's a co-chair on the task force, she said 63% of more than 10,000 convictions of cannabis in 2019 were minorities. So that leaves, 37 of white people. However, they were only 30% of the population. And it shows that the populations have roughly the same percentage of marijuana use. So if my math is right, black people have 30% up to 70%, but the same amount of white people are getting busted or something. So it sounds horrible. Solid ups to these guys. Here's what they want to do. They want to pass legislation to decrim the possession of up to 1.5 ounces by making such a possession a civil offense, and then you can expunge past convictions through an automatic process. And that's what I like. Old Dougie B, he didn't have an automatic process. Seemed like he had a lot of, again, anytime he's quoted as putting the word disease next to cannabis, I don't hear anything anymore, And so anyway, they're going to convene a task force of stakeholders free from conflict of interest, which, man, why would you ever need to put that in there? There should, the government should be the conflict of interest place of reckoning. There should be a guy following around each and every one of those guys going, I don't know, that seems like a conflict of interest, buddy. So anyway, they're going to study the pros and cons and options for legalization of possession, cultivation, and sale. They're going to improve drug enforcement, data collection, and reporting through required whatever. They're going to de-emphasize felony drug possession arrests for trace quantities under 0.25 grams and de-emphasize cannabis arrests in non-locations, whatever that means, I don't know. But we're going to move right into Wisconsin. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about cannabis in Wisconsin or booze in Wisconsin, but I used to do reenactments the pre-1840s, and I did, a cookery called Doc's Wild Rice Cookery. We dressed the part, we talked in the lingo, blah, 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 and we cooked food for the public and for, the participants of these, what they call it, camping for sport. And I did reenactments, the kid was like 9 to like 17 or so. So I did about 7 or so years, and I had a circuit. And I loved working in Wisconsin. They have a lot of reenactments there. Fort Atkinson, and then in this case, Oshkosh I was there for the 4th. And then I was in Prairie du Chien, Fort Fol-de-Vaux was northern Wisconsin, and that was actual fort grounds, but I was there a lot. And it was cool because you got to camp where people paid to just see you camping, and you could do whatever you wanted. You could dig a hole for a fire pit, You could have booze in a mug, nobody'd know because you couldn't have like labeled stuff. Everything had to be in a whatever. My point is Wisconsin, they used to say, if you could get up on the bar stool, they'd serve you a shot. Like if parents said, Bobby's good, serve him a brew. It was cool in Wisconsin. And then Madison was even more liberal than that because it had the University of Wisconsin. And I had friends there, like lacrosse and that sort of stuff. And they were quick to mention that cannabis, was decrimmed in Madison. Now, I don't know how you do that because why couldn't Fargo, because it passed in Measure 3, we got like 50-some% of the vote. How come we couldn't do what Madison does? Now, I don't know that. But this is what we're talking about now, Wisconsin and Madison, because Madison has always, okay, here we go. I'll read it to you. You guys, you don't have to listen to me anymore. Well, you got to, but words that I didn't come up with. City officials in Madison, Wisconsin have voted to remove most local penalties for marijuana possession and consumption, effectively allowing cannabis use by all adults 18 and older. Now, these guys have decided to go 18 and older instead of 21 and older, which, is pretty cool. The Madison comment, because again, I've always said, if you're an old enough age to go and get your head blown off for somebody else that isn't over there, you should be able to do whatever you want. Certainly consuming cannabis for your PTSD, but anything anybody can do. If you're fighting for our freedoms and you're risking your stinking life and your sanity and all that stuff, there shouldn't be a restriction for you. You should get to do whatever you want. Do it with a pistol, bloody boots. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is something you don't normally see, 18 and older. So the Madison Common Council, they voted unanimously, so that's something, on Tuesday night to approve a package of 3 ordinances overhauling the city's marijuana laws. Taken together, the changes permit adults to carry up about an ounce of cannabis locally and consume it on public or private property. Now, that's crazy. And how do they get to do that when cannabis is illegal in Wisconsin? There's no offense, but there's more corn-fed, hey, how you doing there? Let me look in your car, cops, than I've ever seen. Once those highways went to go they go A or Highway W, be careful in those towns, because, when they say to slow down, you better slow down, unless you feel like, getting rectally examined by, corn bob. I digress. Smoking cannabis will remain prohibited in places where cigarettes or other tobacco devices are banned, and no one can have marijuana on school buses or within 1,000 feet of a school. Well, that's nice. I'm glad the council came up with that, Hey, not on the school bus. Hey, well, there's not a rule against it. Consumption on private property, meanwhile, requires permission of the property owner, landlord, or tenant, and then otherwise it will carry a $1 fine, Let's just give Madison a hand. Fantastic. So, again, Madison, the coolest town in Wisconsin. Although Wisconsin is a beautiful state, I've always enjoyed, being there. Back when I drank, the beers were good. Ciders were good. Jack Link's jerky distribution gas station is on the way there. Laws against marijuana distribution will remain intact, allowing police to bring charges against anyone they suspect of selling the drug. Driving under the influence of a controlled substance also remains illegal. And it should always be that way. And so we're kind of creeping up onto this MORE Act. I don't like to get into that kind of political stuff, but if they if they reduce the schedule, and I'll never understand why cannabis got lumped in with heroin and stuff if in fact it wasn't a smear campaign. If it wasn't specifically like the people that were about it wanted it in there. They needed it in there, otherwise, they wouldn't be able to cut trees down. And then it hung. I just don't know why we're so quick to go, our ancestors were racist, and so that's horrible, and then still trust them to know exactly what cannabis was, for us. We're so riddled with pharmaceutical-driven products, down to shampoos and toothpaste. You show me 3 girls, and one of them is going to say that the stupid deodorant they used in their armpits caused, breast cancer or whatever. However, I've got Becky's body butter on my armpits because that's just how I rock. And, yeah, I'm not saying I don't smell, but I certainly do a lot less sweating, and there's nothing in there that, you start talking, I don't want to get all weird, talk about metals and foreign metals and stuff, but there is a lot of, statistics that say that some of the stuff you're rubbing on your body to protect you for something is causing other things. That's all I'm going to say about it. But cannabis never does that. It's your best buddy. It'll do whatever you need it for. It'll fix your head, and it'll keep your armpits from sweating. Can I get a witness? So anyway, the reality is that we shouldn't even be talking about this tonight, Verveer said, calling it preposterous and outrageous that the Wisconsin state legislators have not moved long ago towards legal and regulated adult use of cannabis. And that's true. Like so many other states have across the country. So I don't get it, but it was unanimous, So, and here's a quick thing. Based on a 20-year study of casual possession of marijuana ordinance citations issued by the Madison Police Department, he said approximately 51% of those citations were issued to whites, which sounds racist anyway when you choose white people, and a little over 43% were issued to blacks. And this sounds weird. That, of course, is despite the fact that our black brothers and sisters, that just sounds racist, in no way are anywhere close to 43% of our community's population today. Studies indicate racial groups tend to use cannabis at similar rates. I wish we didn't even have to have these items on our agenda tonight, said Alderman, and I'm with them. I'm with all of them. So what's cool is students 18 and over would be able to possess. In an email to the Herald, he intentionally set the new initiative's limit at 18, which is cool. I think, though, that Wisconsin is on the right track, and I would say North Dakota is not on the right track. However, when we will have states so close to us, are we not on the right track? Maybe that track is just right over the, over the hill and through the woods to the dispensary in South Dakota / Grandma's house. But anyway, I just wanted to say this here, that you're listening to Canna Talk ND with Wilson. Bring your fresh bag of cannabis news every Thursday at 4:20. We start getting into it. That's what we're doing here now on Radio Free Fargo, 95.9er. States legalizing marijuana, Arkansas. Let's see, federal government to blame for more states legalizing it, Arkansas governor says. Now, I'm not saying the governor of Arkansas is the top of, he can't be smarter than a lot of people because he's from Arkansas. Hey, whoa. I'm just kidding. But anyway, the governor of Arkansas says the federal government's lax approach to cannabis is to blame for the growing number of states that are enacting legalization. Now, when I think about that, I'm thinking, well, yeah, because we wanted the government to do it and they didn't, so we're doing it ourselves. Some states are a little slow at doing it, like we seem to be caught up in our own money bubble, oil and raping the land and all that horrible stuff. It's no surprise that we're holding out for a natural solution to our problems. But it is, in fact, why the states, in my opinion, are legalizing it, because we just thought the government would hold it down. But then, they're not. So if we don't need them, then we don't need them. So anyway, there's not a clear federal position on legalization of marijuana. Legalization of drugs, if there's not a clear federal position, then there's going to be a continued erosion and movement toward legalization of marijuana at state level. Again, he uses funny words, continued erosion. It just sounds like a bad thing, when in fact we're just doing the job ourselves at different speeds. One state looks at another one and goes, oh, okay, they can do it, well, we can do it. And it's just not about those hippy-dippy doodads over in the western part of the United States. Now South Dakota and Montana is part of the cool group. And again, they didn't care what color they were. They're just smart people, and that's what I think the political parties are getting messed up, that we could be lied to a certain amount of time, and then we're like, nah, I ain't going to hear any of it. I'm done listening to you tell me what I should vote on, or how I should vote. Talking to you, Christy don't know him. I don't know why she's got to be so attractive, I just wish she was a little uglier talking all that smack about cannabis. But, man, you see that one thing? She's wearing like this country western shirt with like the pearl buttons. Man. Okay, I'm past that. But I just wanted to say that this guy in Arkansas seems to think that the federal government is to blame. And he's right. Because if they'd have legalized it, then the states wouldn't have done anything, So I just wanted to say this. Marijuana legalization and again, I'm reading from Marijuana Moment. This is Kyle Yeager. Marijuana legalization got more votes than Trump, Biden, and other officials in multiple states. So let's just read a little of this. The 2020 election showed yet again that cannabis legalization, I said cannabis because I'm sick of saying marijuana, and I know it's called Marijuana Moment, so it could be Cannabis Moment, but come on, Kyle. Bipartisan appeal. And the mainstream nature of the issue is demonstrated clearly when comparing the support that cannabis reform got at the ballot box this month. that brought in major candidates for president in a year that saw the highest level of voter turnout in American history, in no small part due to the heated race. The incumbent was ousted. Cannabis legalization ballot measures were approved in red and blue states, proving to be more popular than many candidates. Arizona, they passed with 1 million, almost 2 million votes. Just 4 years after a similar measure failed. This time, cannabis beat out both President Trump. He was at 1.6. Biden was at 1.6. That's crazy. The Arizona marijuana vote also exceeded the Democrat senator-elect. Mississippi, more voters in conservative Mississippi voted to enact a medical cannabis program. Almost a mill, 774. Actually, Trump and Biden are just under them by a couple, like 98 and 937. So legalizing cannabis was also more popular than a Republican Senator Kenny Hyde. Montana, they got 341,000 votes to Biden's 244,000 votes. So I don't know what even that means, but it sounds cool. New Jersey, they approved it with almost over 2.5 million, and it exceeds the boast for Biden and them. Trump was like 1.8, So here we go, South Dakota. They got 291,000 for medical and 225 for recreational, which the numbers for recreational at South Dakota did come in a little slower, even though I jumped the gun because I'm an idiot. The recreational win in South Dakota wasn't a win-win. It wasn't a win-win. I mean, it's a win-win, but it was kind of a nail-biter win. Both initiatives received more votes than Biden. 150 for Biden. Additionally, the medical cannabis proposal got more votes than Trump. So that's crazy. So we might as well keep talking. Oregon, they decrimmed all kinds of stuff. And again, this is a cannabis show. So if I were to tell you that I don't know that I agree, I know I always used to believe that, it's a victimless crime. And if you create a crime out of something that's a personal issue, it might be better. But I don't know if I'm getting older, but I feel like legalizing crack, I don't know. I'm not so sure I'm into it. But again, everything else, they've got all kinds of research, the psilocybin and the DMTs and all that stuff for, all kinds of medical issues. But legalizing smack and stuff, I just don't know. That's it. I'm not judging nobody. I just don't know. It isn't as reasonably clear, that should be done. So that's all I got to say about that. And we are creeping up to the end here. New Jersey Assembly Committee passes marijuana sales. Let's see. New Jersey, they passed the marijuana sale bill. Like last week, they rescinded it because they were going to put it out real quick. And so here they pushed to pass the legislation. Date. I don't know. I don't care about that. Mexico, though, is really cooking. I think they're going to discuss it next week. Rhode Island lawmakers say marijuana legalization has momentum for 2021 during Senate hearing. I'm just reading off Marijuana Moment. Quite honestly, I'm just buying a little time here. Mexican Senate committees formally, so I'd like to thank everybody for checking out Canna Talk ND with Wilson. Next week, Thanksgiving, I'll be here. 4 o'clock, fresh bag of cannabis news at 4:20. So come on through, get your big fat face full of turkey, and listen to me ramble about the best thing that ever happened to us, cannabis. RadioFreeFargo.org. Canna Heads on Sunday. Canna Talk ND. Mexican Senate committees formally approved marijuana legalization bill for full floor action. Now that sounds dirty. All right, full floor action. But again, I'm a new guy. Everything's clean. Namaste. Key Mexican Senate committees on Wednesday approved a bill to legalize marijuana nationwide, and a full floor is expected soon. I mean, these guys have these Mexican Senate committee members have drug this thing out so long. Because, they were looking at it during Measure 3, 2018. And it's not like they said, we're not going to talk about it for 2 years. It's almost like they're like, we're going to talk about it next October. Then they're like, it's going to come up in November. Then they'll be like, we've decided to do it in January. Like, there's no real rhyme or reason why these guys But anyway, they approved the proposal months after passing an earlier version. A full vote in the chamber could come as soon as Thursday. But again, they're the Vegas people. It could come as soon as Thursday, or they could be voting on it next year, which I want to say that I am going back to Mexico, COVID willing, to get the last of my dental work dealt with, get my smile perfect. I've got the plane ticket, which is actually like $70 cheaper than when I went last year. I don't know who's to blame. And I probably won't have to sit so close to somebody because I hated that. I mean, I just didn't want to touch anybody, So I'm in there in like that weird knee, arms, elbows in. It was horrible. But to not have anybody on either side of me might be real sweet. But anyway, my point is it'd be nice if Mexico had some of that available because it really spikes my anxiety. Now, there's a weird store in Westlaco that I get CBD, but it tasted funny. I didn't love it. So it'd be cool if Mexico could take care of me. But anyway, it looks like, again, they're doing 18 and older too, so that's awesome. To purchase and possess up to 28 grams of marijuana and cultivate up to 4 plants for personal use. Well, that's beautiful for Mexico. Most of the amendments that have been added since the prior virtual hearing are technical in nature. So again, they want you to believe that it's happening. However, there was a notable revision to make it so people who grow cannabis for personal use will not be subject to a requirement to have regulators track plants. And if we have the guests that I plan to have 2 Thursdays from now, we can find out about these regulator track planter regulators, or they show up at your house and go, we're going to test your, your stuff. And if it's beep, 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 then what happens? Do they burn it? They got a bonfire. They tell you to get rid of it. That seems like a weird idea. You show me a person that has time to get rid of it, and I'll show you another guy who just got a hold of all kinds of high THC CBD plants. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, good on Mexico. Let's see if I can glean any more quick information. The rest of it's in Spanish, so I guess the short answer is no. RadioFreeFargo.org. You can get over there and donate. They let me do my thing. I respect the station. I've always liked the station. I do. But this hour of programming on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by Terps Candy. Terps Candy enhances, relieves, and relaxes with the power of terpenes. And they make a great CBD companion. Terps Candy can be found at 14 Fargo Moorhead locations or online at terpscandy.net. Terps Candy, they enhance, relieve, relax. Candy with a conscience. 2 cool dudes. Canna Talk ND. Every Thursday, 4 o'clock we get started. 4:20, I give you a fresh bag of cannabis news. It's always 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately. We've creeped? Hey, well, that makes sense. Up to our final musical break. First up is All You Fascists Bound to Lose, brand new Resistance Revival course, and it's got Rhiannon Giddens from Carolina Chocolate Drops. I just heard about these guys because I love World Cafe. Because everybody should. And if you're not listening to World Cafe on NPR, just jump off something high. Just kidding. And the last song I got is AC/DC, brand new. And if you're into space music or like I would say Adam Q music, there's kind of a jam band groove in here. But again, people will say, new AC/DC. Well, you got to listen to it. You have to. No matter what genre or whatever you like, you got to listen to it. And I did, and so I picked the one that I thought I liked the best. But again, Brian Johnson, he had a throat box problem. He wasn't supposed to sing anymore, not to mention these guys are 150 years old, soaked in alcohol. Angus Young lost his brother, and Phil Rudd, the drummer, wasn't supposed to be doing anything either. Well, bingo bango, the throat problem got, handled. Brian Johnson's back. Angus is in, and they claim, well, Angus, I listened to an interview with him. He said that he hasn't had any surgeries, any injuries from doing that weird kick. He said he's fallen through holes in the floor of stages, but he said he's got 0 health issues, and he's rocking. And so that's awesome. That's Kick You When You're Down. Let's get into this thing. Kick You When You're Down, AC/DC. That's brand new, Power Up album, 2020. Right before that, All You Fascists Bound to Lose, Resistance Revival Chorus with Rhiannon Giddens from Carolina Chocolate Drop. This Joy is the album. It's brand new. So there you go. And Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo. I got a call in, but we don't have a real phone, so I got no idea how to do that. So whoever called, sorry. Sorry, so sorry. All right. But Canna Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday, 4 o'clock, we get into it. I blow some songs in. I blow some songs your way. Then we talk about cannabis in a positive light. I give you what's going on in the legalization push. And then whatever else I decide to tell you at 4:20. It's always 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately. That part you got to take care of yourself. But it's came to an end here. I hope you guys had a good time, like I had a good time. And I'll be back. You can bet that. You can bet on that. I'll be looking around for new news so I can impress you. Because at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to impress you with my news ability. Because I know when I would listen to newsy stuff, like morning things, if you had the internet, you already knew all that stuff. So it's like you were hearing it again, just a different way. And so I would hope that if I do my job right, you only know a little about what I start talking about. You may have heard it somewhere, and then I flesh it out. But again, cannabis can change the nation. It is the healing of the nation. I mean, cannabis would do that. It'll heal the nation and the people in the nation. So we got to stop, acting like it's so horrible. And if you've never done it yourself, maybe stop talking about like you know what it is and what it's like. Stop comparing it to stuff that you have never compared it to. Because again, if it was up to me, I'd get all those closed-minded uppity-up people, I'd stick them in the Fargo Civic Center and blow smoke in, unbeknownst to them. And then once they solve problems and, worked amongst themselves, I'd be like, you know why you guys have become so agreeable? Because you're high, buddy. So let's get it legalized, stop being a stuff shirt. So, come on back next Thursday. Educate yourself so you can educate somebody else. Been good talking to you. Come back. David Allen, Judgment Day. Bye.